In the second in our series of Captain's Tales from the Rugby World Cup, we look back at the events of 1991, when Australia won their first title, led by their scrum half, Nick Farr-Jones.
You feel very fortunate to have been in the right place at the right time, to have been lucky enough to captain a World Cup winning team. It's a pretty special and unique thing, and I suppose that's what draws you to feeling a part of history and the short history of Rugby World Cup.
4 years on from New Zealand's success at the inaugural Rugby World Cup, the tournament went north, with matches played in the UK, Ireland and France. The Wallabies had come through their pool with a 100% record, and standing between Australia and a second consecutive semi-final appearance was Ireland at a packed Lansdowne Road.
I love the spirit of the Irish, but looking back on my World Cup days, I can't say I enjoyed playing against them. In the 91 sudden death quarter-final again, I literally lasted 20 minutes before I got injured again. And I'm sitting there and we're leading by 6 or 9, and I'm thinking, when are we going to put these guys, the sword to these guys? When are we actually going to get 15, 20 points clear where I can just sit back and relax? And it just didn't happen. And then all of a sudden, against the run of play, this try to Ireland occurs.
Little kick in the space for Jack Clark. Clark gets the ball. Now he's got support. Charging through is Gordon Hamilton. Has he got the pace to get there, the big flanker? Yes!
The place has gone crazy. And it was just surreal. It was like it was happening in slow motion. Had I been out there at the time and they scored that try, I would have read the riot act to the guys. When that final scrum came, I'm pretty sure I would have said to Michael, get in the slot, mate. We're going for drop goal. Let's try and even this game up, take it to extra time. Michael did it all differently.
Opahengawi controls the ball number 8, finally releases it. Horan, the pass. Little to Campese, going for his hat-trick. Tackle short, Linus in there. Linus scores.
So, victory to Australia by a hair's breadth. And facing them in the semi-final, an old foe.
It was one of those days, very special, that right from the time I woke up to the team meeting to going on the bus, it was the first time that the two teams had met, outside New Zealand and Australia. It was a special day, and I had a really good feeling since our victory in Wellington in 1990 against the All Blacks that the tide had turned, that we could knock them over.
Jones, Campese, David Campese all the way!
The first 40 minutes was almost mistake-free. We used the possession well. Campese was obviously fantastic.
Jones digs it out. Liner, little chip ahead. Horan's going to chase that, so's Campese. Campese gets it in his hands. Campese, David Campese dodging both ways and feeding from Horan. Horan to score. Final whistle goes, and Australia are through to the World Cup final.
6 days later, Nick Farr-Jones led his Wallabies out at Twickenham against England.
Leading into the final, I got quite crook, and I think it was just the stress and the pressure and the anxiety. But you always feel a bit more pressure captaining a team. You're always conscious of what's happening. Just wondering if the guys are switched on, if they're in the right frame of mind, if there's any stones that have been unturned. You've always got those sort of pressures. But the fortunate thing, I had a lot of very experienced players around me. The only regret was that, we didn't win in typical Wallaby style. When you pull on a gold jersey, you like to run in 5 and 6 tries, 50 metres out, interchange between forwards and backs. Great movement of ball, and we only got one lousy try that day. We got it from a 5 metre court line out rolling maul. It was the most unspectacular of tries.
And Opahengawi gathering it in two-handed. The Australians trying to roll it up the side. England in trouble here. It's a try.
At the end of the day, people don't remember how we won it, they just remember that we did win it.
And that's it!
The further I get away from it, it's nearly 20 years, I think, how good it was to actually win and to be in the right place at the right time. And probably how I would have died or gone to my rugby grave with regrets had we not won that day. Oh, g'day guys. To the Central West Blue Bulls, it's a delight to be able to have a very quick chat to you down the camera. I just caught up with Toby and Toby's delightful wife Sam.
Yeah, I just up here in Orange for a board meeting with Mick Faber. So I sit on his board of Green Homes Australia. But obviously I'm here to talk a little bit about rugby. I say that because a long time ago I was lucky enough to play a decade for the Wallabies, for the Australian team. I know Sam, your scrum half, very well, and I get to see Sam a lot. I'm in Sydney, guys, and I look forward to catching up with you on the Monday, I think in early June when you're down for the state championships. So I'll come out and meet you in person. But I know most of you won't know who I am, but 30 years ago this year, guys, I was lucky enough to have the C next to my name in the program, which means I was captain of the Wallabies when we won our first World Cup. So that was 1991, believe it or not. So that's 30 years ago. But just a couple of things about me, guys, and I hope to be able to sort of encourage you, and I love encouraging young people to what I call not die wondering, to squeeze the lemon and get all the drops out. You're going to have to work bloody hard if you want to find out how good you can be in sport or in life, whatever you're passionate about and whatever you want to pursue. It's an old saying that my first national coach, a guy called Alan Jones, called the Gucci factor. And the bottom line of that was, long after the price is forgotten, the quality remains. When I talk about price, you know, I didn't play first 15 for my school. I grew up in the Sutherland Shire playing soccer, so I was a bit of a late starter to rugby. I went to Newington College. They didn't play soccer back then. But I wasn't good enough to make my first 15. But as I said, I didn't want to die wondering how good I could be when I went to university, studied law, but importantly went to the great University Rugby Club and met a few guys who mentored me. But I really worked hard. It was blood, sweat and tears, guys. And you know, I'm a long time retired. I haven't pulled on a boot for probably 27, 28 years, but you know, I don't really remember the hard yards. You know, I was a swimmer when I was young, twice a day. Then when I was 3 hours on a train to get to school, I went from swimming to middle distance running, 800s, 1500s, 3000s, and it held me in really good stead for the hard discipline required to, you know, pursue that gold jersey that I was lucky enough to wear for 10 years. So I encourage you guys, if you really want to find out how good you can be, work hard. Collectively and individually, you know, in each of your positions, you've just got to work really hard. For me as a scrum half, you know, I practice my passing off both hands, of course, till my nose bled. You know, my chipping, my kicking, my lateral vision, which is critical, my defensive work. I didn't go to gymnasiums. We backs didn't go to gymnasiums in those days, but you know, I worked really hard on just using my body as my weight, you know, all the stuff you can do on your own. So I just encourage you guys, you know, look at your skill set in your particular position. And just as you play your games, again, I'm talking to you as a team, but also as an individual footballer. One of the critical things that I like to pass on to players is the concept of getting the process right, and the scoreboard looks after itself. We learnt the hard way. And when I talk about process, again, scrum half, what is the process of me in the 80 minutes? It's my passing, my delivery, my defence, my organisation of the guys around me, the forwards in particular in defence. It's the lateral vision, because 9 times out of 10 I've got to be making good decisions. It's my kicking game. Everything that goes into my game as a number 9, do it as well as I possibly can, minimise the errors, trust the 14 guys around me to do exactly the same. And at the end of the 80 minutes, then look up and see what the scoreboard tells you. You know, I'm sure you guys have heard of the expression white line fever. You know, when you get 5, 10, 15 metres from the line and you get desperate to score, then the process goes out of the game. So get the process right, guys. Don't panic. Trust the players around you. Minimise the errors. And I found in my rugby experience that that's when you become a consistent team. The last 3 years I played for the Wallabies, I think we played about 26 tests. We won about 23 of them. We became hugely consistent, guys, and I encourage you, if you want to get the best out of yourself individually and get success for your team consistently, just think about that. But good luck, guys. I look forward to seeing you in Sydney in June. Congratulations on what you've already achieved in making the Central West team, and work hard. And respect the referees, respect your coaches, and look after each other most importantly. Learn how to win well, learn how to lose well. They're all really important features in sport and in rugby, guys. So look forward to seeing you down in Sydney, and all the best. Cheers.